The Last Clue is a production of Smith Media Team, LLC. If you have any information about this case, please email us at info@smithmediateamllc.com. Listener discretion is advised.
Previously on The Last Clue. Season 2, Episode 6, The Aftermath, pulled listeners straight into the chaos following the fatal attack on 23-year-old Joe Powell. Norman police body cam footage revealed disturbing lapses, questionable decisions, and haunting silences in the moments that could have saved his life. 8 officers, 3 witnesses, 1 dying man. Yet justice seemed to slip further away with every frame. What really happened in those 6 tense minutes of footage? And why does it feel like no one was listening?
Before we get started, we want to welcome our new listeners and subscribers from Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas, Independence, Missouri, Providence, Rhode Island, and Reykjavik, Iceland. And thank you to listener Stacy Martin in Nebraska. Your stickers from The Last Clue are in the mail. If you would like a chance to have stickers sent to you, simply comment on our most recent social media post and make sure you give us a follow.
And this is a milestone episode of The Last Clue. We started this earlier this year, had no idea where this was going to take us, and we are now at episode 50 of The Last Clue. We have hit 50.
Oh, that is so exciting. Thank you guys, everybody that's been with us from the beginning, new subscribers, new listeners, everybody.
Whether you've listened for 5 minutes or 5 hours, seriously, we appreciate every single follow.
Wherever you're listening right now, thank you. And as always, keep searching for the last clue.
In May of 1983, English rock band The Police released Synchronicity. Its biggest hit was a song called Every Breath You Take, and it became one of the most misunderstood songs in history. It was a love song that wasn't about love at all. 10 years later, in an interview, lead singer Sting said, quote, "I didn't realize at the time how sinister it is," end quote. Sinister indeed. As Joe Powell lay in the hospital, breathing through tubes, surrounding by the steady rhythms of machines, every breath he took was one closer to the truth. Or was the truth slipping away, breath by labored breath? And now, The Last Clue, Season 2, Episode 7, Every Breath You Take. Become a premium subscriber to Exclusive for subscription-only content this season.
Joe Powell had been out with friends just a few hours before. Now, he lay on a sterile table in the office of the chief medical examiner for the state of Oklahoma. The report opens plainly, clinical, detached. Manner of death, homicide. Cause of death, blunt force trauma of the head.
The word homicide is right there, in black and white. Not accident, not undetermined, not self-inflicted. Homicide.
The report details multiple contusions on Joe's scalp and neck, a deep fracture along the occipital bone, the part of the skull at the base of the head. The report describes hemorrhage of the soft tissues and linear skull fractures that spread across both sides of the skull. That is not the result of a simple punch. Remember our expert from last week's episode? The former sheriff's deputy? They read the autopsy report as well and are in full agreement with the medical examiner's office.
Quote, "He was beat to death." That's what they said. Again, speaking on the condition of anonymity. Quote, "Unless you're the heavyweight boxing champion and built of stone, no way will one punch kill somebody." End quote.
The medical examiner's report continues, quote, "bilateral fractures of the occipital bone with epidural hemorrhage," end quote. That means his head hit or was struck by something with tremendous force. Possibly the pavement, possibly more than once. Now, think back to our previous episode of The Last Clue, the body cam footage. One of the three men, referred to as witnesses by Norman Police Department, said that he hit Joe Powell and Joe fell back, then went to sleep.
The Last Clue had questions about the disconnect between the Norman police reports and the ME's report. In a request sent to the Norman Police Department, The Last Clue was denied interviews with any of the officers and the investigators that worked the Joe Powell case. A request to interview the chief of police was also denied. The mayor of the city of Norman has not responded to our email regarding the Joe Powell case.
The autopsy describes bruising on Joe's neck and shoulders, evidence of blunt impact, possibly from being struck or from falling. There's no defensive trauma to his hands, no broken knuckles or bruised palms, signs that Joe likely never got a chance to fight back.
The ME's report notes, quote, "No natural disease process contributed to the death," end quote. In other words, this was not a medical emergency gone wrong.
Meaning, this was not a heart attack. This was not a stroke. This was not a seizure.
It was an act of violence.
How does one punch fracture both occipital bones? It doesn't. Not under normal conditions. The level of force here suggests either multiple impacts or the use of a hard surface.
The ME estimated that the fatal injuries were inflicted within minutes of Joe being found. That means he was still alive when officers arrived, but time was slipping away fast.
We know from the Garmin watch that his heart rate dropped sharply from 100 beats per minute to 43 by 3:46 a.m. He was still breathing, but barely. And yet, the police report says CPR initiated upon arrival. Body cam footage tells a different story. No chest compressions, no rescue breaths, no controlled bleeding, no intubations.
If you go back to episode 5, The Witching Hour, and listen closely to the 911 call, you can hear it. That low, rhythmic sound. It isn't snoring. It's agonal breathing. Defined by the American Medical Association as, quote, gasping, labored breaths that occur in the moments before death, end quote.
According to the National CPR Foundation, agonal breathing is a sign that death is imminent. Emergency services should be immediately called to allow trained medical professionals to take over. And yet, you'll remember seeing Norman Police Department officers lift Joe Powell by the arm with minimal support to his back and shoulders.
And honestly, if you've listened to the last couple of episodes, you know that we cringed at that, and we are not medical professionals at all. I barely passed CPR, but I knew better than to grab Joe Powell by the arm and lift him up with minimal support while he's got a head contusion. There's blood on the asphalt.
He's laying there with a cracked skull on the ground, and when they do lift him up, they see the blood. They know this is a visible head injury. This is not how someone with a head injury, head contusion, and agonal breathing should be handled.
And I don't feel like they reacted like that at all.
No, it was very dismissive.
It seemed like they were more reacting to the alcohol than they were the injury. They were looking at Joe Powell as someone who was drunk. That is what it appeared to this commentator.
Correct. This was not taken seriously at all. Oh, it's just another drunk kid on a college campus. No. EMTs, professionals trained for exactly this type of emergency, should have been the first to lay hands on Joe Powell.
100%. The first people that should have touched Joe Powell were trained medical EMTs. There's no question.
The last clue observed that the language in the medical examiner report points to repeated impact. It specifically lists bilateral occipital fractures, epidural hemorrhage, and subgaleal contusions.
I'm going to jump in on the contusions part for the layman. These are serious conditions that are mostly characterized by the accumulation of blood between the skull and the scalp. For those of us who don't understand what she just said, that is what we're talking about with the contusions.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. This combination almost never results from a single punch. The official ME conclusion states, quote, blunt force trauma of the head, manner of death, homicide, end quote.
Those 4 words, manner of death, homicide, change everything.
Everything.
How many times, now that we've looked at the ME's report over and over, how many times have we seen the word homicide featured in that report? Enough
to make it to where Norman Police Department has to even consider reopening this case and speaking to the men involved.
But they're not talking. We
Nobody's talking.
We put in a very formal, very direct request to speak to officers and investigators that worked on the Joe Powell case. We also put in a request to speak to the chief of police, and the official answer from the Public Information Office was one word used twice. No.
That's it.
That is the official response from Norman.
That's a quote.
That is a quote. On two separate occasions, when we asked to talk to officers and investigators, and when we asked to talk to the chief of police, the response was no.
When you piece it all together, the video, the timing, the medical evidence, it becomes clear that Joe Powell didn't just fall. He was taken down. And when help finally came, it wasn't enough, especially after a 40-minute delay.
Was it help at all?
No, even as someone that is not trained in this area, if you go back and listen, I recognize the agonal breathing. I kept saying, that man is not snoring.
At least in the past 2 episodes.
Yes.
I know that you've said he wasn't snoring.
No, I said he's not snoring. He is fighting for his life. He is fighting to get oxygen to his brain.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, agonal breathing. This man was near death at that time.
And it was only a matter of time before this made an appearance. I don't understand the stance of the Norman Police Department on saying no to interviews, knowing that this was all going to come out. I mean, let's be clear here. This is the last clue, and we're ran by Smith Media Team LLC.
Mm-hmm.
We are a husband and wife duo that has looked into this case, are now multiple episodes in.
We've made a whole season out of it.
You're correct. You knew at some point someone was going to look into this and see everything that we've seen. The only fortunate thing for Norman Police Department, and honestly the city of Norman, which houses one of the major universities across the country.
Mm-hmm. University of Oklahoma. Boomer. Sooner.
You're fortunate that this wasn't Keith Morrison knocking on your door. You're fortunate that this wasn't Paula Zahn knocking on your door. You're damn fortunate that this wasn't Nancy Grace beating on your door. Do you understand?
That would terrify me.
Do you understand what could have came about with this if any of those 3 people or any mid-level true crime investigator, we know that we're small potatoes and we have figured this out. Can you imagine just for a second being at the Norman Police Department or at the city of Norman at the mayor's office? Can you imagine for a second seeing that Dateline vehicle park in your goddamn parking lot?
Can you imagine them getting a hold of this body cam footage?
I mean, first you say it and then you do it.
Fact.
I mean, they don't realize how lucky they are that it was us that came across this first, that found this information first, that is reporting about this first. And we are gaining listeners and subscribers in droves. What would they have done if there was a banner on Peacock that says Next time on Dateline, we go to the city of Norman. They would have absolutely been destroyed. They don't realize how lucky they are having the last clue look into this and not Dateline.
Yeah, well, they are lucky in that aspect, but I also hope that at some point they're a little less lucky and that more and more traction gets picked up on this and people are just as outraged as we are because this was senseless. There was no need for this. Zero. And no need to sweep it under the rug. Give this family some answers.
The best thing that they could have done was stood in front of it, and they haven't.
No, they have not.
We have been through this entire process. We have been professional. We have asked professional questions. We have, in the past, received professional answers from the Public Information Office. But now that we've really started poking and prodding, there is this machoism, I guess, that is coming about where they're sticking their chest out and trying to say, no, that's not how this works.
They're trying to stonewall us. They're trying to shut us down.
Of course they are.
Guess what? Go ahead and try.
I mean, we've got more episodes already loaded up.
Mm-hmm.
If you think we're recording this episode by episode, now there may be some additions because we do have an email out to the medical examiner's office because they were very forthcoming and said, if you have any other questions or anything, email us here. Well, since we're getting no from the Norman Police Department, let me explain. Have you ever played the game Angry Birds?
I have not.
Okay. So in Angry Birds, there's a small bird, and there's a medium-sized bird, there's a large bird, and it just goes up, right?
Okay.
Okay. If we're going to look at the hierarchy of this, let's just look at this for a second.
Okay.
City of Norman, we've played nice in the sandbox with them, and they've decided that they want to try to stonewall us.
They're going to take their toys and go home.
Yeah. Answers like no.
No.
And if needed, I will absolutely publish that email in our Facebook group to show
absolutely
that it literally says no. And there's a middle bird. That's the county, Cleveland County.
Okay.
Norman, for those of you that are geographically challenged like I am, Norman, Oklahoma is located in Cleveland County.
Okay.
Also Oklahoma for geographically challenged people.
Well, I can understand that one.
So where are Norman and Cleveland County located?
Oklahoma.
State of Oklahoma.
State of Oklahoma. Okay.
Guess where that autopsy report came from? It came from the state of Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a chain of command. I mean, everybody answers to somebody. You answer to somebody. I answer to you. I mean, everybody answers to somebody. So there's a hierarchy here. And as far as I'm concerned, and even before this email chain, this email stonewall attempt, whatever, we both still sat on the fact that if the state of Oklahoma medical examiner's office determines that this is a homicide, then it is a homicide.
It is a homicide.
No matter what Norman PD says, they can close their investigation, but there are more investigators than just Norman Police Department.
Yeah, and if they think they want to stonewall that, they can't forget the opportunity for all kinds of civil cases and stuff too. So, but yeah, Norman Police Department would, in layman's terms, be low man on the totem pole. Would you agree? Or is that what you would say?
I don't know about low man on the totem pole.
Low investigator on the totem pole?
On this totem pole, absolutely.
Okay.
On any totem pole, there's a head buried beneath the ground. And in this one, in particular, I do feel like it's Norman Police Department unless there's something I'm missing. Unless City of Norman Parking Enforcement was the first people on the scene.
Based on the way they treated Joe, I'm not convinced it wasn't. I'm sorry, did I just say that out loud?
It's opinion.
Everybody's got one.
We mentioned the song Every Breath You Take by the Police in the intro. Back in 1983, vinyl records were still king, followed closely by cassettes. Do you know what the song was on the B-side of that single, Every Breath You Take?
I do not.
It was a tune titled Murder by Numbers.
Oh.
And in this case, in Joe Powell's case, it wasn't one-on-one. It was 3 men against 1.
From the walk to the witching hour to the aftermath, the story of Joe Powell's final hours is being told by the last clue, piece by piece. Every file, every frame, every beat of his heart, down to the final one. The truth may be buried in reports, in bureaucracy, in silence, but we'll keep digging. Quote, "When the law breaks the law, there is no law." End quote. The former sheriff's deputy added.
Next time on The Last Clue. Why were 3 men allowed to just walk away without being arrested or even detained by Norman police? And more importantly, where did they go? We'll tell you who they are and what secrets they may still hold. Season 2, Episode 8 of The Last Clue, I'll Be Watching You. Available Tuesday, wherever you podcast.
The Last Clue is a production of Smith Media Team, LLC. If you have any information regarding the murder of Joe Powell, email us at info@smithmediateamllc.com. Follow and review The Last Clue on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen. And always, keep searching for The Last Clue.